With Smash's roster ever growing, with its DLC adding more diverse third parties from different genres and facets of gaming like Steve followed by Sephiroth, showcases just how much Smash has become a celebration of gaming with all of its crossovers. This has led the speculation scene to look for characters from different genres not fully represented through a fighter, like first-person shooters, visual novel, or puzzle games. Though, one major facet of gaming that hasn't really been discussed at all is mobile gaming. Mobile games have rapidly grown ever since their debut. While mobile gaming isn't as big in the West, it's quickly becoming dominant in Japan and other parts of the world, with notable games like Monster Strike, Puzzles & Dragons, Fate Grand Order, and Grand Blue Fantasy becoming juggernauts in the market. And while some of these series could definitely work in Smash, I'd like to take a look at Nintendo's original action RPG mobile game, Dragalia Lost. Dragalia Lost was developed in conjunction with Cygames, the developers behind Grand Blue Fantasy, and released back in September 2018, a couple of months before Ultimate came out. The game has then gone on to do pretty well and become one of the highest grossing mobile games from Nintendo. And as Dragalia Lost has already crossed over with many series already represented in Smash, like Fire Emblem, Mega Man, Monster Hunter and Persona 5, it's time it crossed over into Smash itself with a DLC fighter. While Dragalia Lost has a wide variety of characters, its main protagonist, Euden, is probably the most likely pick for the Smash fighter. Along with Euden, Not, his childhood fairy companion, would also appear in his taunts, victory animation, and on the fighter's banner, much like Morgana. The two would have some really fun animations, and they could pull from stuff like the game's stickers that you can see on screen right now. And of course, the series icon would be the dragon found on the Iberian flag. So how would Euden fight? Well, he would be a bit of your typical sword user, just with some added flair, quite literally via his sword setting ablaze. He'd be of average height with solid ground speed, great airspeed, but at the cost of being a lightweight. For some of his normal attacks, he'd come straight from Dragalia Lost, and for his smash attacks, Euden would set his sword on fire for a strong hit. A quick side note is that in Dragalia Lost there are two ways characters are portrayed, either with a chibi-fied look during gameplay, or their normal design with their portraits or artwork. Smash would naturally take from the latter when adapting Euden. So what sets Euden apart from the rest of the sword fighters if many of his standard attacks are going to be very typical? Well, this would be the main mechanic of Dragalia Lost, and that would be the dragon transformations. Euden himself, as well as any of the adventurers in Dragalia Lost, can transform into any dragon given that you have a pact between the two. Though in Smash, Euden would simply just transform into his default dragon, Midgardsormr. I hope I pronounced that right. Even though Euden is a fire element and Midgardsormr is a wind element, he is the de facto main dragon that the player starts with, and as such is generally the most iconic to pull from for Euden's main dragon. Sort of similar to how Joker only uses Arsene in Smash, despite it being one of the weakest personas. Midgardsormr's design in Smash would pull from his normal artwork, similar to Euden's, though of course it'd need to be designed to fit in Smash, as dragons are usually quite big. It's a Ridley situation. As for how Midgardsormr would work in Smash, it'd be similar to Joker's Arsene or Cloud's Limit Break, where over time, through dealing or receiving damage, Euden would build up his dragon gauge. When it reaches max, he physically turns into a dragon, which would make him stand out from Corrin, who just has parts of his or her body turned into a dragon. Usually when discussing movesets for Euden, many Smash fans tend to have him transform completely into a dragon and essentially give him a completely new moveset. A very robust transformation. It was something we even did in a guest Dream Smasher article from Nick DeDroid on the Source Gaming website. And while this is absolutely possible, for this video we wanted to do something slightly different. As Pyro and Mythra showed with their transformation, it seems like for DLC characters they should really be similar if they were going to go that route and make them separate characters, essentially. And you just can't do that with Euden and Midgardsormr. They're just completely different in terms of shape and everything. So this time, when the Dragon Gauge is full, Euden will be able to transform into Midgardsormr, but only for specific moves. The smash attacks, the throws, and of course, the special moves. Every time one of these moves is used, the Dragon Gauge will decrease a little bit. but we also wanted to bring in the idea that players have free control over that transformation, and so we've done this with the specials. If you hold down the special button, that's how Euden will transform into his dragon form, and if you just tap it, he'll do his regular special attack. This way the players can have a bit more control, unlike the limit break where it's just gone after one move. This would make Euden more of a glass cannon dynamic fighter for Smash, where you've got a lot of momentum and a lot of speed but very lightweight attacks, but with the capabilities to build up to a really powerful KOing move, as long as you can survive to do so. So what about these specials? Well, Euden's neutral special will be his first skill, Blazing Circlet. It'll have Euden charge up before spinning his fiery sword around him, similar to Link's spin attack, though Blazing Circlet deals multiple hits instead of just one strong attack, as well as its ability to charge up, allowing Euden to spin more times and increase its strength. Euden could also move while spinning the move depending on the directional input as well, giving him a slight vertical recovery while in the air. His dragon form version would essentially be the same thing, but with a much bigger hitbox and without the flames. The one alternative, however, is that when used in the air, the move goes diagonally, with a meteor smashing effect on opponents. For the side special, we have Exalted Fire, where Euden would send out a pillar of fire in front of him. The player can change the direction before firing it by tilting the controller in a different direction, and the projectile is overall fast and passes through opponents for a solid way to force approaches or KO someone. Holding the side special while having the Dragon Gauge full, however, will change it into Trident Tempest, which is one of High Midgardsorm's boss attacks. In fact, the rest of the specials will all be pulled from his boss appearance. This move is also projectile like Euden's, but a little different. It's much slower, however 3 mini green tornadoes come out instead of the fire pillar. And when used in the air, again there'd be a different effect. The tornadoes would be shot downwards instead of sideways. The up special is Force Strike, which is a signature move from Dragalia Lost. It's a pretty standard recovery. Euden would simply charge up and then propel himself in the direction he was facing before delivering a strong slash. He can angle the move for a bit while charging it, and an arrow would point in the direction like in his home game. Overall, it's a pretty meh recovery with its distance, but can be a solid out of shield option. Midgardsorm, however, has a better recovery with Tattered Sky. It functions essentially the same as Force Strike, but trades off that move's offensive power for significantly more recovery. For Euden's down special, it'll pull from his Gala form's first skill, Rising Circlet. Euden would stab his sword on the ground as a field of light surrounds him on both sides. The area of effect would be fairly small, but it can hit opponents that are right above it, so you can catch some people off guard on platforms. Regardless of if it hits an opponent or not, Euden's attack and knockback would be increased, but he would take more damage for about 10 seconds. When the Dragon Gauge is full, this move will change into Calamitous Storm, another attack from High Midgardsorm's boss fight. Midgardsorm would let out a roar as a giant powerful blast of energy grows in size, similar to Hero's Magic Burst in its look, but not nearly as big or destructive. The attack will heal high damage and stun opponents instead of knocking them away, allowing Euden to have a follow-up. Like the rest of Midgardsorm's attacks, it has super armor at the start, so you can't stop him, but it has significant end lag, so it has a risk and reward for either the Euden player or his opponent. Then we have the final smash, which we let him use his Gala form's second skill, Exalted Glory. He'd use a move resembling a stronger form of Blazing Circuit to knock anyone he hits into a cinematic final smash. This move will start with Euden's portrait showing up, and then this will be followed by Cleo's, Elisane's, Ranzel's and Luca's. They'll all appear next to Euden before changing into an orb of light, each respective of their colours, and then dashing into opponents. This is then followed up by Euden summoning a giant beam of light to strike down any opponent in the circle, and finish them off by transforming into High Midgardsorm and using Grand Tempest. So that does it for the move set, so let's look at the alternative costumes, which will follow suit with other RPG characters already in Smash, mostly being based off of other prominent main characters. He'd of course have his default appearance based on his normal red and white attire that he starts the game with. His second costume would then give him a lighter blue recolor with some green highlights based on Elisane. His third recolor would be based on Ranzel, changing his skin tone, giving him black hair and a yellow and brownish colour scheme. For his fourth recolor, it would be based on Cleo, giving him pink to blue hair and a dominant black and white colour scheme. The rest of his forms would be pretty different though, as his fifth form changes Euden's look to his Gala form, an outfit players can get and has become prominent later in the story as Euden's default outfit. His 6th recolor is based on Luca, giving him cyan hair and greyish and black colour scheme with some yellow highlights. And then we have the 7th ult, which is based on his fairy companion Not, once again giving him pink hair and a dominant light green and white colour scheme. Then for his final recolor, it'd be based on the Empress Zephyr, the main antagonist up until chapter 12, giving Euden a dominant light purple and blue colour scheme. Which would be pretty fitting for a Smash recolor, seeing as Smash likes to give characters a general evil recolor, like they did with Pyra and Mithra. As for the stage, while Dragalia Lost doesn't have a ton of prominent locations that'd work well for an interesting stage, there is the iconic hub area that Euden and co uses as a base of operations, as well as being used to build facilities, summon adventurers, or dragons, or train. Not to mention various characters could be in the background this way, so it would be pretty fitting. Halidom would be a travelling stage, starting with the castle grounds with a simple layout initially, with the right side leading to a walk-off staircase and a large platform in the middle. The stage would then transition into the summoning arena. The layout is more simple than last time with no platforms, but no walk-offs. In the background there is a blue orb that, if touched by a player, would cause the orb to summon a dragon, or has a chance for various wine prints. The dragons would be one of the 6 great wimes beside Midgardasom, of course, so either Mercury, Brunhilde, Jupiter, Zodiac, or Chthonius. I should have looked this up before I said this. They would then chill in the background until the stage transitions again, this time landing on the Dragon's Roost, with the layout having 2 rising platforms on either side with no walk-offs. All while the previously summoned Great Rhyme would fly with the stage transition before landing on the background, where they would then function as a stage hazard, by affecting or destroying the layout similar to the summons in Midgar. As a neat touch, if Brunhilde was summoned, she could change into Mim while on Dragon Roost instead of attacking. While if it summons a wine print beforehand, then there wouldn't be any stage hazards and the player would just get a stat boost instead. Then finally it would transition back to the ground, another walk-off area, but this time with breakable buildings that are all references to various facilities that you can get in the game. These can act as platforms, but obviously if destroyed, it will just become a flat plane. This is where a lot of other cameos happen, and this time not from the dragons, but the main characters you might see around. This could be Zephyr, Elisane, Ranzel, Cleo, Luca, Cerisa, Alex, Laxi, Zena, Leaf, Chell, Leonidas, Celiera, and Audric. Depending on if one of the hub songs is playing, you could see them bobbing their heads in the background, just like in Dragalia Lost. Now as for those songs, we do have a bit of a problem. A lot of Dragalia Lost's soundtrack is licensed by D'Alco. This would make it pretty hard to get some of them in Smash realistically, unless we can be allowed to have remixes or instrumental versions. Give them a listen.
いつもと同じ温かな声優しく私の 呼ぶ
To wrap up this section, the victory theme for Euden would be the clear jingle that you would hear when you clear a mission in Dragalia Lost. Now, Euden's classic mode. It'll be titled the Great Whims Pact. With there being 6 Great Whims in total, we thought that a fighter could represent each one, and they'd be fought in the order that they're fought in Dragalia Lost. Each foe would be a stamina battle, and each foe would be giant, so that we can try and make this feel like it's a raid boss. Round 1 will have Euden go up against a giant Charizard with his green costume resembling Midgardsorm. The fight will take place on Temple while the song Home Remix plays. Round 2 will be against a giant blue Corrin on Great Bay. The fight represents the water whim Mercury. In the background the song Ryushi Toshi will play. Round 3 is against a giant red Charizard on Castle Siege's lava area with the song Bang playing, with the fight representing the flame wind Brunhilde. Round 4 is against a giant Pikachu on Spear Pillar. This fight will be representing the light wind Jupiter, and the music will be Crasher / versus Great Whim. Round 5 is a battle against a giant blue Ridley on Innova Pokemon League in its Omega form, representing the Shadow Whim Zodiark, and the music will be set to his theme, versus Kronos Nyx / versus Zodiark. For the penultimate round, it'll be against a giant Ganondorf with his Grey Ult on Reset Bomb Forest, representing the final of the 6 Great Whims, Chthonius the Never Whim. The song Oni-san Kochira will be set during the fight. Finally, after going through the bonus round, naturally Euden would face off against Rathalos. Honestly, what better boss would fit than the dragon like Wyvern? Plus, it'd practically come full circle, as Euden already fought him in Dragalia Lost. Though this fight would be a little different compared to the other rounds, as Euden is assisted by Zero Suit Samus, Yellow Ike and Pink Robin, representing Elisane, Ranzel and Cleo respectively, to fully tie in fighting with 4 units like in his home game. All while this is happening, the music We Are the Lights will be playing. Before we go on to the spirits, let's address the Mii costumes Dragalia Lost could bring along with it. The set of costumes would be a bit similar to what Terry brought in that some are from the series the character is, alongside others based on different series by the same company. And why not, seeing as Cygames loves to cross over with their mobile games into each other. So first off, for Dragalia Lost, we'd have a Mii Brawler costume based on Not, a Sword Fighter costume based on Elisane, and another Mii Sword Fighter costume based on Alberius. As for the other series, there are 2 Sword Fighter costumes based on the protagonist of Cygames' most well-known series, Gran Blue Fantasy, with the male avatar Gran and female avatar Jita, and lastly, a Sword Fighter costume based on Pecorine from Princess Connect. Now finally, it's time for the spirits. For the fighter spirit there would be 2, one based on Euden's default look that you'd obtain from his classic mode, and a second one on his Gala form costume that you'd buy from the shop. As for Midgardsorm, he'd be present behind Euden for both of his fighter spirits, much like how Arsene is with Joker. First up, we have a novice support spirit, Zethia, Euden's younger sister, who will be represented by a blue Zelda and is assisted by Euden on Guar Plains, specifically the night version. She'll heal after a while, and midway through the match reinforcements will appear, in the form of a hostile purple Zelda who will attack either side indiscriminately and will have increased magic attacks. Her spirit effect will boost the player's magic resistance. Following Zethia, we have her and Euden's fairy companion, Not. She'll be a novice support spirit represented by a tiny green peach on the Halidom. If the player purchased the Not Mii costume, then the peach will be replaced by a tiny Mii Brawler with that outfit. She'll have the low gravity effect and is easy to knock away, but will be assisted by Euden, so defeat the main fighter to win. Her spirit effect will give the player the lightweight effect. Now onto our advanced spirits, and first up is Elisane. She'll be a primary attack type spirit represented by Zero Suit Samus on Kalos Pokemon League, specifically the water variant referencing the Lillian Church and her water element. She'll start the match with a killing edge and will favour her down special, alluding to her skill Hollowed Waters. She'll have an increased attack midway through the match, referencing her Brave Bastion, and her spirit effect will increase water effects. Next is Ranzel, an advanced primary shield type spirit, and who else to represent this skilled mercenary than Ike, using his yellow ult on Delfino Plaza, referencing his home of Aquapolis. Lots of items will spawn during this match, specifically the food items, and Ranzel is attracted to them. He'd be powered up after eating, and his shield has extra durability, referencing his Storm Wall skill. Once defeated, his spirit effect would increase weight. Following that is Cleo, the caretaker and original defender of Halidom. She'll be an advanced support spirit and will be represented by a female Robin using her pink costume on the Halidom. She will be healed significantly and have increased defense when at high health, referencing her 2 support skills, as well as the stage being covered in fog. Her spirit would give the effect stat increase after eating. Then another advanced support spirit will be the carefree Sylvian archer, Luca. He'll be played by a Link using his white costume and is assisted by Isabelle with a grey costume to represent Cerisa, Luca's younger sister. The stage is Garden of Hope, representing his beloved home village, Woodhaven. Link will favour his neutral special and loves to taunt, while Isabelle will start the match with a staff item. His spirit effect will give the player the increased shooting attack effect. Now, moving on to the Great Winds, we have our last advanced spirit, Brunhilde the Flame Wine, who will be a primary attack type. Just like with Classic Mode, this will be a stamina match against a giant Charizard with its red costume and Castle Siege's lava area. However, this time the floor is lava, and she'll have increased flame effects. After being KO'd, reinforcements will spawn in the form of female Corrin with her pink ult. This represents Brunhilde's human form, Mim. Speaking of which, once obtained, the spirit can be enhanced into Mim, giving the spirit effect Lava Floor immunity, and bumping her level up to Ace. Next up is the Water Wind Mercury, an Ace support spirit who'll be played by Giant Corrin with blue ult on Great Bay. Corrin will favour their neutral special, representing Mercury's skill Hydro Cannon. The player can't swim and the match is a stamina battle. When equipped, the spirit will give the player critical health healing effect. Following that is the Light Wind, Jupiter. Jupiter will be an Ace primary grab type spirit. He'll be played by a giant Pikachu on Spear Pillar, he'll favour his down special alluding to Lightning Rod skill, and the floor is electrified. The match is a stamina battle, and once defeated, the spirit will give the player the effect of increased electric attacks. And now for our last Ace level spirit, as well as the last Great Whim on the spirit board, this is the Shadow Whim Zodiac. He is a primary neutral type spirit who'll be played by a giant Ridley with his grey costume on the Unova Pokemon League. The stage will be covered in a poison cloud and the opponent will randomly receive a final smash, alluding to his accursed venom skill. Again, the match will be in stamina mode, with the spirit effect giving the player initial damage at 30%, though it does have 2 slots to help. The last spirit is the main antagonist up until the end of chapter 14, Morciate, or more commonly referred to as the Other, throughout the game. He'll be a legend support spirit and represented by a giant Ridley using his purple costume on Reset Bomb Forest and Mega Form. During the match he can charge up a powerful final smash, and once he gets badly damaged enough, he'll get a major stat boost as you've reached his quote unquote second form. Once again, like other dragon fights, this will be in stamina mode. Once you've beaten him, you'll gain the unique spirit effect of Great Life Steal. And that does it for all the Dragalia Lost content we could see in Smash. Although being a pretty new IP from Nintendo, with it only being about 3 years old at the time of this video, the game has proven itself amongst Nintendo's IP, along with quickly becoming one of Nintendo's best mobile game, showcasing their venture into mobile gaming with an original property. We only have one Smash fighter left and we'll be finding out pretty soon who it is. Could it be a first party? Could it be a third party? Who knows? But as one of the only few new IP to kind of come out during this period, and also not be in Smash in any form, looking at you Ring Fit, we really did want to try and cover off Dragalia Lost before it was too late, essentially. We want to thank our Discord user Blitz for providing the first draft of this script, and if you have any questions, direct them his way. Special thanks to all of our Patreons who are appearing on screen right now, and if you could like, share, subscribe, all of that usual jazz, that would be fantastic. I hope you all look forward to the new Smash Fighter, just like we are, and you know we're going to be talking about it a lot, so make sure you always return to the source.